So a couple things have become crystal clear. Um, we collectively, us people that have been trying to get the truth out, have defeated the COVID narrative. That is clearly off the rails. Anyone that's paying attention can see that. Check it out.
Plans to lift its vaccine mandate.
Prime Minister Boris Johnson is pushing ahead with an end to almost all restrictions to contain the virus.
In Alberta, people are waking up to a very new reality, one without vaccine passports.
The mandates that help slow the spread are coming to an end in New York.
Well, customers dining in Minneapolis and St. Paul will no longer need to show proof of vaccination or a negative COVID test.
We're announcing today that we will remove the indoor mask mandate and the vaccine requirement for certain public locations.
The Prime Minister has declared it's time for governments to step back out of people's lives as he called for an end to vaccine mandates.
Mayor Eric Adams said that he would end the city's indoor vaccine mandate on March 7th.
The Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe saying that it created two classes of people and led to division, so the passports are going.
Ontario is dropping most of its pandemic rules. Proof of vaccination will no longer be required at most restaurants and gyms and movie theaters. Capacity limits for sports and concert venues dropped.
Let us learn to live with this virus and continue protecting ourselves and others without restricting our freedoms.
Now, with COVID narrative defeated, the globalists, the cabal, whatever the heck you want to call them, the evil ones, they've gone on to their next psychological engagement, which is always fear-based, and that's war with Russia. And when all the corporate media speak in unison, you can be damn sure that that is the opposite of what is actually true. And when I say all media, I mean all of them, even the ones that we thought were truthful, like One American News, for example.
Russian forces are ramping up their attacks on Ukrainian cities. Russian warships are also heading to Odessa and Kiev. Holly McKay is a journalist. She's actually a war reporter. She's joining us from Ukraine.
Fake news. Come on, One American News Network. We thought you were better than that. Russia is attacking Ukrainian cities. That's not what's happening at all. And I can prove that. I can prove that. And if you did a little bit of journalism, I'm not in Ukraine, and yet I could find this information. I'm sure you guys could too. So why don't you start telling the truth before you lose your audience? Because, we had respect for you. A man named Russell Bentley is on the ground, and he's producing videos, and he's going to the front lines, and he's telling people what's really happening there. And he said that the Ukrainian Azov battalion and the other neo-Nazis, new Nazis, Khazarian Jew Nazis, CIA Nazis, Mossad Nazis, Freemason Nazis, which of course are nothing to do with Germany or Hitler or anything like that. That's why they're new, right? They don't have any of the same stuff. But they're going around and they're murdering people, he says. Murdering people when they're trying to leave.
So the Ukrainian Nazis, their absolutely main strategic technique at this point is using human shields. It's been videoed. It's been absolutely confirmed down in Mariupol and Odessa. The Nazis are sealing the borders of the city. Both of those cities are already surrounded. They're not allowing. Russia has already said, okay, we're going to have humanitarian corridors, and the Nazis in those cities are not letting any civilians to leave. I mean, they're shooting whole cars full of families. They're stopping cars, pulling people out, taking them away to rape and torture and murder for just trying to leave civilians.
So he put forth that claim, and I published that in my last video. Now, is it true? Well, again, viewer discretion is advised for this following clip, because it's brutal, and you're gonna see dead bodies and dead people in it. But this is corroboration of exactly what Russell Bentley was saying. So here's your proof. It's confirmed.
Братик, братик, ты живой? Блять. Девчат. Света, аптечку давай! Сзади лежит! Брат. Сука. Давай сюда, блядь!
Она что, поможет или что?
Что?
Иди сюда! Сереж!
Ёбаный рот!
Поехали отсюда, я тебя прошу, поехали, все быстрее!
Света, скорую!
Поехали! Да какая скорая?
Скорую вызывай, блядь!
Да не поможет скорая!
Иди скорую машину, блядь, телефон возьми! Машину быстро! Голову!
So, again, One America News. And I'm singling you out because we thought you were on our side and you're going to tell the truth, but you seem to be following the cabal playbook here. Let's see who is attacking cities, who is causing terror and terrorizing the regular people that live in these cities, which of course is a war crime, by the way, especially to indiscriminately target civilians. And it's not Russia doing it.
Это противопоказано. Абсолютно. Нельзя уходить.
Айдар говорили, айдаровцы. Они грабили, все дома грабили. Нас не выпускали. Мы сидели вот там вот в подземелье. Айдарцы грабили. Вот так вот. И послали ребятишек, 19, 18, 20 лет.
Не очень четко, но ладно. Хз, блядь.
Again, from following up on my last video, I posted that horrible video where the Ukrainians crucified somebody and killed them, lit them on fire. And somebody in the comments, a lot of people were saying that it's an older video, that it's a couple years old. Well, that doesn't really matter because since 2014 is when all of this started, when after the color revolution that imposed their dictator and the neo-Nazis came to power in Ukraine. And they've been shelling cities for a long time now, committing war crimes. Again, here's your proof.
Будьте вы прокляты! Свело ваше колено на 7-е, на 5-е, на 10-е, на 20-е! Будьте вы прокляты все! Сыночка моя! Сыночка! Господи! Господи! Как мне это все пережить? Как мне это все пережить? Кому? Здесь нет даже ополченцев! Какие ополченцы, твари! Суки продажные! Ой, боже мой! За что? За что убили моего ребенка? За что?
Again, for a follow-up on comments that were made on my last video, people were saying that, because I made the point that the Nazis were Christian. And of course, you know, being a truther, I know all of the stuff. They were, you know, believed in the Vril Society and what have you. And, you know, the higher ups, you know, maybe that's quite possible. I'm not going to say it is. I'm not going to say it's not. But the thing about secret societies is that they're secret. So they maybe the rulers of it, the high ups, did, but your average soldier, your man on the street, they were from the German people, the Austrian people, and at that time they were all Christians. So the neo-Nazis, the ones that are crucifying people, they took the symbolism from World War II, and they are definitely fascist slash communist. It's really hard to tell the difference sometimes, right? But here's verification that since 2014, these are the people that George Soros, the CIA, the Mossad, again, all the guilty parties, installed in the Ukraine. And they were telling us even back in 2014, right after it happened. So this is not contested now.
Ukrainian military, it was fascism, the National Guard.
Well, it was fascism, but it was, fascism on new study. It was combined with nationalism. Fascism plus nationalism. It's an Ukrainian phenomenon. It's a very disgusting phenomenon.
Відвоювати наші землі, відтворити, відновити і створити нову могутню державу. Слава нації! Смерть ворогам!
So that's ample evidence being provided showing that the bad guys in this conflict are not the Russians. And, we're judged by our actions, luckily, and not the media rhetoric and the lies that are being, given to us, barraging us on a daily basis. But what are the Russians really doing? Is this the action of war criminals to open humanitarian corridors and to feed the hungry? Right? They're not committing war crimes. They're going after criminals. And they're trying to minimize losses on civilians. It's the Ukrainians that are using people as human shields. I'll show you that in a second. But first, this is what the Russians are doing.
Смотри, дядя тебя фотографирует. Помахай, привет-привет. Скажи привет-привет, дядя. Так, ручкой, помаши ручкой. Скажи привет-привет. Наташа, ты моя. Ну что ж, где ж ты тут стоишь? Наташа! Ну,
Свет, свет, давай, не, кому-то.
Маленький. Ну, тяни, чтобы оно
Сюда, пожалуйста.
Не проходи туда. Дай его. Вон так. Ага, вот там. Давай.
Все, тихо, отошли. Отошли.
Это хорошо.
Назад.
So there you have it. Russian forces are feeding the hungry and taking care of the civilians. That's hardly something a despotic ruler that's attacking cities going to do unless he's attacking them with kindness, care, and food, attacking them with love, and they're being greeted like heroes because they are rescuing the people from a totalitarian, fascist, communist, evil, satanic cabal. And just to show how evil they are, they're trying to goad Russia into having civilian deaths. And how are they doing that? And this is a war crime again. They're putting their missile launchers and their armored battalions in cities, in populated areas. They are using the population there as human shields. That's the only reason to do this, to make it harder for them to take out their armament, for the Russian forces to take out their armaments without civilian loss. Do you see who the bad guys are yet?
Более того, по имеющейся информации, и это подтверждается результатами объективного контроля, мы видим это. Бендеровцы и неонацисты выставляют тяжелое вооружение, в том числе системы залпового огня, прямо в центральных районах крупных городов, включая Киев и Харьков. Они планируют вызвать ответный огонь российских ударных комплексов по жилым кварталам. По сути, они действуют так же, как и террористы во всем мире. Прикрываются людьми в надежде затем обвинить Россию в жертвах среди мирного населения. Еще раз обращаюсь к военнослужащим вооруженных сил Украины. Не позволяйте неонацистам и бендеровцам использовать ваших детей, ваших жен и стариков в качестве живого щита.
Подбитый танк, что ли, украинский тянут.
Братан, смотри, заехала техника между двух школ. Вот так они, блядь, защитники гребаные, блядь, текают нахуй. Между двух школ, брат, смотри. БТРы. Он танк.
Блядь, смотрите, что происходит на Оболоне, блядь, ебать, вся Оболонь, блядь, все мужчины, блядь, собираются, блядь, посмотрите, как все будет. Приходите, приходите, мы вас будем всех встречать. Даже без документов раздают. Приходи, защищай свое государство Украину. Слава Украине!
Вон они на той, они в парке, и вот здесь возле АТБ, короче. Один лег. Один лег. Короче, один лег. Ребят, это пиздец какой-то. Это где-то к нам. Короче, не знаю, то ли наши справа, то ли что. Блять. Пиздец.
Залез в дом, мародер походу, с ножом. Now,
just to end this video with a final confirmation, And don't bother writing in the comments, oh, Ricardo Bossi's a Jew or Ricardo Bossi's deep state or whatever. You know what? We're judged by our actions. And Ricardo Bossi is liberating Australia. He's inspired people and he's on the front lines. And until you put your neck on the chopping block and have some skin in the game, I don't think you should be criticizing the people that do, right? Judged by his actions, he is on the side of, call them white hats or good guys, whatever you want to call them. And he's confirming everything that we've been talking about happening in Ukraine. They are the head of the snake. They're the head of the Khazarian mafia. And who is the Khazarian mafia? Well, that would be the banking cabal. You know, the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, those guys, they're all Khazarian Jews. The Jews who are not Jews, as mentioned in the Bible, but worship at the synagogue of Satan. The Khazarian mafia only became Jewish in around the year 700 AD. Before that, they were openly worshippers of Baal. You know, the child sacrifice, pedophilia, all that kind of stuff that the elites are really into. Well, that's why.
I've mentioned this a couple of times, so forgive me if you've heard this before, but it's important. A lot of people haven't heard it. What's going on in the Ukraine? First of all, it's a massive distraction. They're trying to distract you away from what's really going on in everybody's home country. Now, the Ukraine is, this is not what you think it is. The Ukraine, let's get technical first. The Ukraine is not a sovereign state. It does not have internationally recognized sovereign borders. It's still part of Russia, has been since the 10th century. How about that? Now, lots happened in between. We understand that. But this is like Russia invading Russia. That's all it is. Now, second point. The Ukrainian people are very upset, particularly the Ukrainians in Australia. I get it. But guess what? You've been lied to, just like the Australian people have been lied to. We think we're a sovereign nation. We're not. The Ukrainians think they're a sovereign nation. They are not. See, the truth is slowly going to come out about what's really going on. And what's really going on is this. The Ukraine has been the center of the globalists for decades and decades and decades, 70 years at least. CIA, which is not a good organization, they're the implementers of deep state, let's say. They've been working in the Ukraine for 70 years, building up a resistance to everybody and everything. Why? Because they needed to bring the Soviet Union down, but they also want the resources that are in the Ukraine. That's what this is all about. Particularly Eastern Ukraine, massive natural resources that CIA goes in, gets control of, and American business interests, and they're not business, they're just robber barons. They're not legitimate businessmen. They just want to steal, and that's what goes on. And so they're taking that away from Russia and the Ukraine. And on top of that, it's the center of the deep state. And so by Vlad Putin going in, he's cutting the head off the snake. Once Ukraine goes down, because they've already taken out the capital of Kazakhstan. And if you want to have a look at what's weird, go look at the architecture in Kazakhstan and tell me this is normal architectural buildings of a struggling nation. But Ukraine, that's the head of the snake, and Vlad's taking the head off. Once the head comes off, the whole beast will die. So that's what's actually going on, folks. So please, they are going to tell you their stories about possible nuclear war, and Vlad's the bad man. This is the war with Russia that they wanted with Hillary Clinton as president. Because she lost, the whole war against Russia was postponed. This is the plan they always had, to destroy Russia, because they don't have a banking system that is under the Rothschilds. What a dangerous course of action that is. And they want to get a hold of the resources. This is them taking down. Anyway, so Vlad's taking down deep state. He's helping. He's cutting the head off the snake. So that's what's going on. So ignore all the chatter you're going to hear over the next little while about potential nuclear war and Russia's attempt to take over the globe. Completely the opposite. So that's the Ukraine. And so pay attention, but please do your own research. Don't, for goodness sake, don't watch mainstream media, because if their lips are moving, just like the politicians, if the media's lips are moving, they're lying.